and spiritual like ascension.
Oh, wait, hold on. I'm just going to go live and we're going to start talking about that. You ready? Hold on. I'm going live.
No music for us.
Nah, man. Music? That's for amateurs.
Jump in.
You just jump in. People are just going to be like, what's happening? And I'll be like, we're live. And then they'll get all confused. And I'll be like, well, you knew we were going to be live because I come on the show every day at this time. And I also brag about having awesome guests. And I've already bragged about Chelsea being on the show. So for those of you who are already tuned in and listening to me talk about Chelsea, aka Sea Elle, spelled SEA space ELLE, then you are watching and you know it, and you should be proud and be lucky. Chelsea, thank you for coming on. Geeked. Well, oh, I almost said my other show. Not a Journalist with Brian Holiday and Chelsea. How does it feel?
Thank you for having me.
Of course. I
This
mean,
is odd because you're like looking somewhere
oh
else.
yeah, sorry. You're in this camera, but the unfortunately the people see me in this camera, and I've tried to figure out a way to get the cameras closer, but it. Oh, actually, I think I figured out a way. There we go. You're just unfortunately going to see me like up my nose, and I hope that's okay. I think I have a pretty nose.
Okay,
Yeah,
that works.
it's a nice nose. So baby masseuse to the stars. Um,
Baby masseuse, not baby masseuse.
okay, so I said because I said baby masseuse the other day when I was talking to Zach on his live, and Zach was just like baby masseuse. He's just like that sounds interesting, but then he was just like
Weird.
he's just like, "What's a baby masseuse?" And afterwards, I was just like, "I'm not sure." And then you came on, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm not a baby masseuse." And I was just like, "Wait, what?"
It was so funny because I was like, can I post this? And he was like, well, I don't want him to feel foolish.
Oh no, by all means, make me feel foolish. I love the idea that, like, oh yeah, baby masseuse, and you're just like, no, I don't actually, Brian. What? So,
No. So yeah, I don't actually massage the babies myself.
yes, please
The
fill me
whole
in so I feel less
idea,
silly.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole idea is like connecting parents and the babies. So if I were to massage, that would kind of like interrupt the whole flow. But
Oh.
I'm there as a guide. I guide them through a specific type of massage, and we see each other once a week for 5 weeks. And each week we do different parts of the body. They learn about strokes, but there's so much more to like the course. There's also talking about um, I guess infant development, things like breastfeeding, what type of oils to use, what are the differences between baby reflexes versus baby cues. Um, yeah.
This is
So,
I no, I'm fascinated because my partner works as a nurse in the NICU at the hospital, and
oh
so
wow.
so she's always talking to me about like babies and similarly things like this, like reflexes. What's the thing? She's like the different stages and like what you're expected, like what some people expect and what like some of the babies, and then like their gestation. I don't know. She says a lot of the words, and I'm like, and I nod and I say I think I understand. And then when she like leaves the room, I sometimes will immediately Google things, being like, "Let's see if I actually understood what she said." And sometimes I'm completely wrong. I'm like completely off and picturing something completely different. But how does one get? Because of all the things, of all the different careers I could imagine in life, teaching parents how to connect with their newborns sounds like one of the most noble and amazing ones, but how does one get to that point? Because that's a very specific path, and that's an awesome one. But like, how, like, where does that even start?
um, wow. Okay. So I had been working after my bachelor's. I had been working in daycares. I had been working in daycares even before my bachelor's, kind of like part time.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was done my BA, I was like, well, it's not exciting to go back into daycares full time.
Mm.
I wanted to expand on what I already knew about children, and let's say throughout the 7 years of experience I had already had, I realized I was always gravitating towards infants. And that was something I was doing since I was very young myself.
Mm.
I'm one of the eldest in my family and have been obsessed with babies since the beginning.
Yeah.
Um, I mean,
They're
I
so
remember
cute.
my parents are separated, and I remember sometimes my mom would like convince me to come over by telling me like the neighbor's baby is coming over.
I,
And
I
I'd be
like
like,
the
Dad,
idea.
I love your mom.
I like the idea that your mom's bribing you with like, there is a baby.
Yeah,
That's
every
so
time we
cute.
got into an argument, she was like, I'm gonna call up my friend and she's gonna bring her baby. And I was like,
Oh.
are you gonna cook food too? It's fine. Um, um,
I love it.
yeah, one of these things that brought me so much peace, I would say my childhood was kind of like very loud, let's say.
Yeah.
Um, and these were moments where like I had a lot of responsibility too, which was cool. So at like 8 years old, I was allowed to take the newborn and feed him and put him to sleep.
Oh, cool.
Um, I got a lot of experience, but it was also very peaceful.
Yeah.
Kind of like left alone if I was taking care of the babies.
Okay.
Um,
Did you ever? Because funny enough, so on my end, I started. My sister's only a year younger than me, but my sister's special needs, and I at 7 and 8, I was similarly like helping out a lot and like making
mhm,
meals and like stuff like that, and helping like serving dinner and whatnot, helping my sister with whatever homework she might have from her from the school she was going to, and uh, so in my teens. I didn't want to feel like an adult. So there was a period where I was just very much like,
mhm,
I just want to be a kid because I already felt like my mom was always apologizing to me, saying like, I always feel like I made you grow up too fast, and I always tell my mom, no, I loved my childhood and I don't regret any of the time that I spent
mhm.
because she's my sister and I love my sister. And I would do anything for her. I would lift a building and blow up anything to protect her if I had to, but I just always when I was like a teenager and my sister was on her own. She's my sister's what they say is high functioning and she's very smart. She used to rip me off all the time when we played cards anyway. But so it was
They're
just,
underestimated often.
oh my god, oh, I would love someone to underestimate my sister because she will fleece you, homie, and you won't even see it coming,
I
man.
feel
Anyway, yeah. So then when I was like I was saying when I was a teenager, I just very much what kind of worked against the idea of being more adult. I really kind of just wanted to be a kid still. So but in your case was that did you have something similar like that? How did you feel in that at that time?
Um, no, I think the responsibility felt good.
Mm.
If the more responsibility I had, I felt like the less I had to deal with home.
Oh,
If
okay.
if that makes sense, it was almost like an escape being the eldest, having a lot of responsibility, being the calm one. I would say, if anything, I'm at a point in my life right now
Yeah.
where I feel like I just want to play.
Yeah,
I just want
yeah.
to, I don't know, do stupid things like
You're talking to a guy who built Lego for 4 hours today, so I 100%
I
understand.
do shit like that.
Oh, dude, I'm not joking. It is my favorite thing to do. I'm not gonna lie.
That's why even when you were like, what's your like geeky thing? I was
Yeah,
kind of like, I don't know. I'm like figuring that out right now. I'm
yeah,
kind of like having the time to explore and play. Even with my partner, I get like these spurts of energy, and I just act like a child,
yeah.
jumping on the bed, um, talking gibberish, like
Yo,
pure, just like like
and
no
it's
clue what I'm
freeing.
doing.
Isn't it one of the most freeing experiences when you just do stuff like
So
that?
liberating.
Yeah.
So
And
liberating. And it took me a while to get there. I was a very serious character.
mm,
Um, Not like in a negative way, but just like very calm, always like poised. And yeah, I just got tired of it in the last couple of years.
oh
I'm
yeah.
like, I want to play.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to loosen up. Just be silly. I want to go
Yeah.
to a park. Oh no, dude, I 100% understand that. I think that was my thing when so that you similarly that was me in my teenage years. I was just like I just want to be silly. I just want to play. I just want to run around. I just want to act a fool. And then I started talking to girls. So then that as yeah. So yeah, yeah. I was like, "Oh, I guess I could play, but girls don't seem to like the guys who just want to play with Lego all day." So guess I'll get into I'll pretend I'm into sports, and then I realize, oh, like people recognize confidence more than the actual sport you're playing. Like that's one of the things that I wish that they taught us when we were younger. A lot of the people I knew who are on the team, and I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of the guys I knew on the team felt confidence from being on the team and playing, and that
Mm,
confidence was what was attractive. And I wasn't confident because at that time I just didn't really have a thing to be confident about. And then when I just realized, oh, I don't need a thing, I can just be confident in being who I am, I was like, oh, this is way better.
right.
Girls have been really cool
So
with
you're
me
saying
now.
you taught confidence?
I'm sorry.
You wish that they taught confidence in school? Is that what you're saying?
I wish they would have taught us that. Yeah, I guess that's a weird way to put it. Not that they taught confidence, but explained, or maybe they didn't even know, but the difference between like helping people recognize their place is always difficult, and especially since you're young, so you don't know where it is, but explaining to people that you don't need to recognize your place yet, and being okay in that and living in that, and that acceptance gives you a confidence to feel more comfortable with yourself. Maybe if people told younger people that, it would feel easier, because when I was younger, no one ever spoke to me about being okay with being a nerdy black kid who was either too white for the black kids because he didn't speak patois,
Yeah.
or too black for the white kids because he's actually black. You know?
Oh my God. Like all the black kids used to just like make fun of me. Why are you talking like that? And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not talking like that.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
are.
yeah, you know? Yeah, yeah. The amount of times.
But I think first of all they can't teach us that because most of our teachers, I mean most of my
True.
teachers were white,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah, yeah.
how can they teach us how to like have these dual identities and be okay with it?
Yeah.
Um, but also I feel like that would just like break the system, right? The system is made for us to feel like we have to have a certain place. We're not
Mm.
allowed to just feel confident in ourselves. We have a place to fill in. We have like, this mold to fit.
Yeah.
And so being yourself and feeling confident, that would like break a mold. They're like
Oh
just
no.
building little soldiers, right? So
Yeah, they can't sell us stuff if we don't fit into the standard brackets that they've designed for 18 to 49, this. Sell them this product. Oh,
yeah. And
well,
anything we dislike about ourselves, that's sellable,
you
right?
true.
Why would they make us like ourselves?
I feel like, yeah, that's true. I think if anything, yeah, it was hard though. It was hard being a kid and not loving who I was at first, and
Mhm.
but then when I then the whole fake it till you make it thing started to kick in, and then I started faking it really well, and then it actually kicked in, and then people were just like, man, Brian just doesn't give a fuck, like, and then that got really liberating. Just the kind of idea
Mhm.
of, I remember one of my friends being like, how do you talk to anyone at any time? And
Mhm.
I was like, oh, easily. I don't care uh, what's going to happen. I know that sounds weird, but my mentality is, did I know that person 5 minutes ago? And will I know that person 5 minutes from now? And they're just
That's
like,
it.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that very much was how I approached it. It was like, I don't know that person, and if I talk to them and they have no interest in communicating with me whatsoever, then I don't know them 5 minutes from now, and I didn't lose anything. And some people were like, what about your pride? And I'm just like, if my pride is linked to every interaction, then wouldn't we all
Mhm.
just be bumbling, crying, like,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think fake it till you make it is like a legit philosophy, like if you're in it with like intention to put yourself out there and liberate your self-consciousness. Of course, if you're like faking it till you make it to just like look all bougie and shit,
Oh, yeah, no, that's fair.
so that's different.
Yeah.
But I think if you're coming from like a soul purpose and you're just like, I want to be amazing. I want to feel amazing. So I'm just gonna like pretend. Eventually, that shit works.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I felt like I was like very quiet for many years of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only around like my mid 20s that I was like, ooh, I have a voice. Ooh, it sounds good. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna test it. I'm gonna tell people what I think. I'm gonna tell people to fuck off.
Yeah. Yes.
Eventually, I mean, I think I spent a little too much time telling people to fuck off, and I was like, I don't have friends anymore. But then I met the right people.
Yeah, yeah.
That was that.
Yo, no, that was great. I like that you just kind of weeded people out.
Yeah, that was it. And it was a process. I remember people being like, "Oh, you've become so cold," or you're just like really aggressive. And I probably was. When you
Mm,
first find your voice, you're just like rah rah rah
yeah.
rah rah. And then slowly I learned to like bring it in. And now I know how to diplomatically say.
Yes. Yes, the diplomacy is probably one of the most important things, and I know that it was something I had to work on a lot. Do you feel like, because it's funny that you mentioned in the mid 20s, I feel like mid 20s was also when I figured that out. Do you think there was something specific that made you realize this is like I want to be? I was just watching a TV show and they referred to that attitude of just kind of like having your voice and being in the room to being a Todd. Like Todds just walk into rooms like they own the place. Todd's just like
Okay, right.
so like when did you
Yeah,
what was it that made you find your inner Todd?
I would say so like a self-development program that I did actually.
Okay, cool.
I don't know if you've heard of it, Landmark.
No, I haven't. No.
So anyone who like works at Lulu or has been involved with Lululemon would know it because they have to do the program.
Oh, cool.
Um, but it's essentially like a weekend, very intensive program, and they just call you to action on every single thing that
Oh,
doesn't work in your life. So I was calling up my dad, my mom, my brother.
oh,
I was like calling up everyone, my best friend. I was like, I don't know why I call you my best friend because like you're not my best friend. You're never there for me. And I was just giving. I mean, I wasn't necessarily only giving people shit,
yeah, yeah,
but I was like, this is what it is. But I love you, and
yeah.
this is how I want the relationship to transform.
Oh, that's good.
Um, yeah, and it was kind of like learning boundaries. I think that's where I really learned boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that like enriched love. I was like, okay, um, when I call you and I'm crying, I'd like you to give me at least 5 minutes.
Yeah,
If you can't give me at least 5 minutes, call me back.
yeah,
I mean, I don't think that was an actual thing that happened, but just like not giving people conditions, but just being like, this is actually what I want out of this relationship.
yeah.
If you can meet it, that would be great. If you can't, let's talk about how we can meet
Balance, yeah,
halfway.
and compromise. Yeah, exactly. Because most that's yeah, yeah. I think I got lucky because my mom told me when I was a kid I had a best friend, and it was one of those situations where I was always the one reaching out to the best friend and not the friend reaching out to me. And my mom just said to me, think of your friendships as a street, and you're standing on one end and your friend's standing on the other, and you should always be trying to meet in the middle. And if you feel like you're walking the whole entire distance every time, you need to reevaluate that. I was like 8 when she told me that.
You're a wise mama.
Yo, yeah, that was a pretty heavy thing for her to say to me, and it was a pretty heavy thought that every time I interacted with someone, if I felt that I was the one reaching out the most, I would just stop at one point and see if they reached out, and if they didn't, I would just let it.
Oh,
Which is good and bad. It was good because it taught me early to be able to cut people out if I thought they weren't being a positive influence in my life. But it was also bad because it got very easy to cut people out because I learned to do it so young. So I was like I easily just outright cut people out of my life at like 13. I would just stop talking to someone completely.
I feel like that's better because
Mm,
like might as well cut them out. You're only 13. They're most likely not going to be your friends for the rest of your life.
yeah,
Maybe one or two will.
yeah,
But I was kind of the opposite. I let everyone be my friend. I tried to be friends with everyone. I called constantly. Um, just like, yeah, just always trying to please people.
yeah.
Um, I saw myself as like very dynamic, and then I started to look at that and I was like, are you, I still see myself as very dynamic, but I was like, yeah, but you're changing a lot.
Oh,
Um, and people's frequencies are really affecting you.
mm-hmm.
Um, and that, that lasted for years, um, feeling either like neglected in relationships, feeling that I was being drained, exhausted.
Yeah, I was gonna
Think,
ask.
yeah, so that was like just very unhealthy, and that only changed in my 20s as well. um, I just thought about, like, on top of Landmark, I think one thing that really affected having a voice
Mm-hmm.
was getting out of a terrible relationship.
Yeah.
um, and then all of a sudden I was like, damn, I can say anything I want, to anyone. And it was also this motivation to repair my relationships with my family.
Mm-hmm.
I've been so occupied in this relationship that I didn't even feel like I needed family anymore.
Oh,
This
okay.
was like everything. And then when they left, I was kind of like, freedom. And also, I'd
That's
like my mom and dad back.
yeah, yeah. I like that. No, that's good. I feel like it's important to realize the who you want in your life, and there've been times where I was in situations, similar situation where I never really gave up the family because again, with me, it really came down to my sister. I definitely always had that feeling of wanting to protect her, so I kind of just always like. Not that she's the only reason I want to have a strong connection with my family, but it's definitely one of those like big anchors in my life. But
Right.
there have been times where I've been in relationships and I look at it and I'm just like, is there a way out of this where I don't hurt them or get hurt? And you're just kind of
Mhm.
like looking at it and shrinking into yourself, constantly thinking like, how do I escape? How do I get free? And then finally, I got lucky because my ex was the one that pulled the band-aid off really hard. She's just like, yeah, I don't think we make each other happy. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, no, me neither. And she's just like,
Cool.
yeah, and it was like no joke, very much a like we both looked at each other and she's just like, "So, do you want to say it?" And I was like, I think we should break up." She's like, "Okay, cool. I agree." And then that was it. It was a really weird.
So like mature and organic.
Yeah, yeah, it was. It was good. And we still had to live together too because our lease wasn't up, so we lived together for a couple months
Yeah.
still. Yeah, it was rough.
Wow.
Yeah, it was rough.
Was there a friendship there?
Well, I'm sorry, was there?
A friendship?
Yes, yes, we're still friends. We were friends. I think the thing that was the hardest was more towards the end. I think she felt uncomfortable having had me around so much and not being able to like feel free. So towards the end, when we were like about to like move out from each other, like she was moving to a new place, I was moving to a new place. She got a little weird at that point, and that's when it got weird because we are like, hey, we need to like split up our stuff, move out,
Right.
and that's when she started just like ghosting and like not coming home. And I was just like, oh, I mean, okay, I guess you can handle it this way. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, mine was like not very mature and not organic at
no,
all. I was in India doing like a student abroad sort of program.
yeah.
Um, and this person decided to start seeing someone over that summer.
While you were
And
away,
yeah,
yo,
and
what
this was
is
like
it with people doing
after,
that? I have
this
another
was like
ex who did
after
that.
a 6 year relationship on top of it.
How many years?
Like six?
Hot damn.
Mm-hmm.
Rude.
Yeah, I guess it was just like they thought I was like leaving to go study abroad to avoid the relationship, which I think I was,
Okay.
definitely,
Okay, that's fair.
So we knew it was ending, but it was just like a harsh reality to come back
Yeah.
and be like, I mean, I found out he didn't say it himself either. So
Ah,
yeah, it was just like really shitty. Um,
I don't respect
but
that.
it was like real freedom after that, because I was with this person from 17 to 23.
Oh, okay.
So like 23 was just like, wow, I traveled so much. I did so many things. I was like, I am so amazing. I didn't even know I was
Yeah.
like that.
Yo, being 23, single, and traveling sounds incredible. Like it must
It
have
was
been what like
yeah.
what were some of the places you went to and what were some of the things that you felt you learned about yourself?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so one of my first travels afterwards was where did we go? So I went to Jordan to visit a friend,
Oh,
and
dope.
from Jordan I hopped over to Sri Lanka to
Oh, double
just
dope.
get to know like some of my roots.
Yeah.
And from there I went to Thailand.
Okay.
And in Thailand, it was one of the first times I sat in the sun on the beach for like hours. So
Uh,
growing up, I was like one of the darkest skin in my family,
yeah.
and especially in the South Asian culture, it's
Oh,
like fair and lovely, fair and
yeah.
lovely.
My ex-girlfriend is
Um,
Sinhalese, and yeah, so
okay,
she used to
there
tell
you
me
go.
all the time. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I had people buying me these nasty lotions, and I was just like,
Oh.
I'm gonna get nice and fair. And then I'm sitting on this beach, and I hear voices in my head, like my grandmother being like, "Get out of the sun! Why are
Yeah.
you in the sun?" And I was just like, "Fuck it!
Yeah.
This feels so good. It feels so warm."
Yeah.
And I played with like sand on the warm beach for like one of the first times in my life. Like that's like one of the first memories I have. And I did get darker, and I enjoyed it too. I was like,
Yeah.
I like this color actually. Like, um, so travel definitely changed who I wanted to be and how I saw myself.
Yeah.
How I identify as a person in the world. While traveling, I realized like I don't have to fit into being Canadian
Mm.
or being Sri Lankan or being Trinidadian.
Yeah.
I'm just like a citizen of this world, and I. It really helped me discover my intuition as well. Um, I've gotten into like so many strange or dangerous situations,
Okay.
and yeah, just listening to my gut, I just developed so much awareness, confidence.
Yo,
Yeah,
dude, this sounds
and
so
definitely
incredible.
spirituality as well.
And sorry.
Um, definitely spirituality as
Yeah,
well.
I was just gonna ask. Yeah, because I know one of the things that we've talked about was when you were saying you're trying to find your geekdom. One of the things that you discovered was you really enjoyed spirituality, and that kind of feels like your geekdom. I was gonna ask, was it on this trip? Because what you're describing, sitting on a beach and understanding yourself and feeling that recognition that being called Sri Lankan, Trinidadian, Canadian are parts of you, but they're not the thing that make you who you are. Did that
Mhm.
spirituality come from those moments while you're traveling?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've always been drawn to some sort of like I mean, we can call it spirituality, like
Mm.
just like overarching sort of um, topic or concept.
Yeah.
But yeah, growing up, my mother, she practiced almost like every religion.
Okay.
Um, and she was just like, take what you want. It's all the same. And
Okay.
yeah, she bought me books on
Don't tell the
astrology.
Christians that.
And I mean, she would like make me read Psalms every morning,
Oh, cool.
and then light incense and burn sage, and
Okay.
then read astrology out of like this huge like astrology encyclopedia.
Oh, dope.
Um, and so like I just was filled with like a lot of knowledge, and so when I started to travel, I started to really find pieces of what really spoke to me when I was a child. So
Yeah.
specifically when I was in India, that's where I discovered Ayurveda. And that's basically like a huge part of my practice.
Hmm.
Um,
What is Ayurveda? Did I say that
so yeah,
correctly? Okay.
yeah.
I apologize. I was just like, I feel like that
Yeah,
word holds so much power. I don't want to say it incorrectly.
Ayurveda, yeah, you got it. But yeah, it's basically like holistic way of living.
Okay.
So everything that you do comes from within
Mm.
and moving outwards rather than outwards in. So you're thinking about your diet primarily. You're thinking about the elements. So there's this idea that we're all made up of a certain amount of different elements.
Mm.
So there's air, water, and earth. Sorry, air, water, and fire. So
Yeah.
for example, I'm a mix of air and fire. So when my fire is imbalanced, you can imagine like the flightiness in me is driving my anger.
Okay.
That makes sense. Like
Yeah.
people who are mostly air tend to be like a bit more dreamy, a bit more unstable. They don't feel grounded, maybe a bit more anxious. They're definitely more cold. People who are fire, they get heated more. They have maybe issues with anger.
Okay.
There's also a lot you can tell by just the way someone is built.
Yeah.
And yeah, then you develop a diet based on your specific needs. But Ayurveda also includes karmic work. So
I'm fascinated by this because I used to study philosophy, and what you're describing touches on some of the like ancient philosophies of the human body and the balance in the human body that I used to read on. So this sounds so cool because I imagine that in Indian culture this is like an like very traditional ancient thing, and then at the same time the Greeks were over here talking about the same thing, and I
right.
don't know if the Greeks grabbed it from the Indians or if they just came upon it about themselves. No offense to the Greeks, I don't think for a second you came up with it before the Indians, and I don't mean
Right.
that in a mean way, but if we're looking at the history of cultures, you know.
Yeah, when you look at the history, Ayurveda definitely exists longer. I don't
Yeah.
care like if you can find a textbook that will tell me.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, as we
it
know, some of our
really,
textbooks were destroyed when holy wars were reigned. So let's, yeah, we know. Yeah,
most of our history is just like erased.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, when you also look at the gods, they have like similar
Mm.
stories or similar attributes, and it's just like that. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely an ancient practice.
Mm.
A lot of the priests are the ones that would like practice and teach the, I guess, like just citizens.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it involves, people think that yoga is something that you do alone. But yoga encompasses so many things, and yoga is also part of Ayurveda.
Oh,
So
cool. Okay.
Ayurveda is sort of this huge umbrella, and then there's so many things under it. There's massage, there's yoga, there's karmic work, there's diet, there's your doshas, which is the elements you're made of.
Mm-hmm.
There's pressure points, so there's just so many things. Um, yeah, under this one large sort of lifestyle, I guess.
Yeah. Is it the type of thing where doing one can give you benefits, but following all of it could like open your mind to so much more? Because like there's so many. Don't get me wrong. I feel like yoga's great, and I see a lot of people doing it, and it's healthy for the body and mind and stuff like that. But what you're describing sounds like like if yoga is good for your mind as just this part of the exercise, I can only imagine what the benefits are if you actually started to following like the eating habits and like understanding the balance of your doshas like you mentioned, and like
Mhm.
the massage aspect of it.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah,
So
so it's interesting because people use this word like, oh, I'm spiritual, I believe in
mm,
spirituality, and I'm striving to find a different word
mm,
because I just feel like it's so on trend right now, and
yeah.
it almost, it almost like hurts me because I I've been learning this stuff since I was so young,
Yeah.
and I didn't read about most of the things I learned.
Y-
This was like intuitive learning,
yeah.
and I feel almost like shut down a lot by people who have no business
Yeah.
doing this.
Are you talking about
Because,
Karens and Carols? Are they telling you how to feel spiritual?
right, telling me about yoga, telling me
Yeah.
about diet, and I'm just like, stop.
Yeah.
There is no one thing for anyone.
Yeah.
We're all different, and I just wish people would understand that going into a yoga class is good for you at the
Oh,
end of the day.
yeah.
But if you really want to practice yoga, you want to know what positions are actually best for your spirit, body, mind, soul. Like you want to connect that all together.
Mm-hmm.
People talk about chakras. That's also something that's like cool right now.
Yeah.
Doing chakra work is hard work. There's
Yeah.
shadow work in chakra work. It is not just sitting down and putting crystals over your body in a beautiful, sexy way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I just like sometimes I can't stand it.
I'm sorry that the
Don't get
only
me wrong. you can have fun. You know,
Yeah.
I take cute pictures with my crystal sometimes.
Yeah.
I just that like that's fine. But I'm just like, if you're, if you're actually into spirituality,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, that's the thing, right? You have to start quoting it. Yeah.
yeah, if you're actually practicing, like, I think intuitive learning is just phenomenal
Mm.
because you're not reading it from a book, you're not seeing it on social media and being like, yes, this seems like me, I want to try that.
Yeah.
And no judgment. If that's how you're going through finding what's best for you, that's okay.
Yeah.
But if you see, for example, the color green, and you then notice, oh, the heart chakra is green,
Mm.
that for me is intuitive. That for me is much more aligned than you being like, I'm gonna wear green today because I want to heal my green chakra.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay. I see what you mean.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
or I'm gonna buy a green crystal because I want to work with the heart chakra is called anahata.
Mhm.
So, you know, what does the green crystal mean? Where on earth does it come from? Who
Mm.
are those people that lived on that earth? Who
Mhm.
are the indigenous? What are their practices? So I think about those things a lot. When I first started using
Yeah.
Palo Santo, which is, have you heard of Palo Santo?
No, I'm fascinated by all this because this is so
Um,
like my relationship with chakras comes from the show Avatar: The Last Airbender. when his chakra is blocked and he decides to not open them because he falls in love with a girl, and I'm like, all right, homie, that seems like a mistake, but cool, you do you. Meanwhile, you're like explaining it to me, and I'm like, wow, that show did not do chakras justice.
It did not.
No,
They had no
yeah.
mentioning chakras. Um, but yeah, this is Palo Santo. It's called holy wood. Actually,
Oh,
that's what I
okay,
mean.
okay.
It's just like something you burn to cleanse.
Hmm.
But it's often like misused. And I would say the way I discovered Palo Santo was in Peru, where it comes from.
Okay.
And I discovered it.
Yeah.
I didn't find it online and go buy it online.
Mm.
Now I'm in Canada, and I will say, yes, I have bought it at like health food stores. But I do my research. I try my best to make sure that it is coming from Peru.
Hmm.
I don't know where else this tree grows.
Okay.
That's where I found it. That's where I learned about it. Same thing with
And that's where you feel
cacao.
the connection to it too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I had just this feeling about it. I'm like, I didn't even know actually its purpose. I just walked into a store and loved the smell.
Mm.
And the person that was there told me about its purpose and how to use it.
Okay.
Um,
That's cool.
and so
Man, that
I
is
just,
some intuitive learning, like you were saying.
sorry?
That was like that really is like the intuitive learning. Like this smell, I was drawn to this smell, and now I'm learning about it, and it's like, oh, this is for that, and it's just like, oh, I need that in my life right now. That
Yeah,
just that natural flow.
right. Yeah, and I learned how to use it. And that's not to say don't make mistakes.
Hmm.
Um, that's a process of learning as well. I just feel that, quote unquote, spirituality has to really come from within,
Mm.
and not from just believing that this wood is going to cleanse your house and you have no idea where it comes
Yeah,
from. You have no respect for the people who
yeah.
actually use this practice.
Wikipedia
This is,
told me to use it. I'll just run around my house with it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. And you also have no idea what spirits you might be calling in when you
Yeah.
don't know what you're using,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, it's definitely been like interesting work for me. So when people say like, oh, they have this certificate and they know how to do this, I'm kind of like, sure, you know how to do it one way.
Interesting.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
recently like, got called out for like not reading enough books on like yoga and Ayurveda. Um, and they were kind of like, how can you practice anything if you don't know like the fundamentals of them, like
Hmm.
historically? And I was just like, I am South Asian.
Yeah.
Um, this is in my genes.
Yeah.
This
It's
is
in my blood.
this is in my blood. This is stuff that's been passed down from my great great grandmother.
Yeah.
She didn't have books, and also half of our books were burned during colonization. So like,
Yeah. Yeah.
exist are often written by like European
Who came
authors.
over? Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, yo, I
you
mean,
know, not invalidating reading.
no, 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 no.
Reading of this
I,
will do.
I'll give an analogy from my life that I think can like is equally on par with what you're saying. I think when I was a kid, for example, one of the things I loved playing the piano. I loved it. I love just going on the keys. Music is in my family. It's in my blood. My grandfather played almost every instrument. My uncle plays. My uncle, my other uncle, rest in peace, who passed away. My dad are all musicians who play instruments. My godfather, who I'm named for, was a bass player. My aunt was an opera singer.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's like when I say it's in my blood, it's in my blood. And I just took to the keys when I was a kid. I would just go and play, and I could pick up songs by ear. And my dad was just like, I love that you can play it by ear, but because my dad was judged for playing by ear and not learning music as a kid, he's just like, I don't want anyone to ever doubt your skills, so I want you to take classes. And that was the day I lost my love for it, because as soon as someone tried to put that natural instinct I had in front of a keyboard into like learn these scales, I was just like, this isn't fun. I don't enjoy this. And
That exact thing happened to me and my sister.
yeah,
My dad learned intuitively. He's amazing. He jams and has a band to this day.
awesome. Yeah.
And I don't know how to do anything because I just dropped it once he put me in piano lessons.
Yeah, the second this like, bless her soul, she was this wonderful woman, but this like very strict like I mean, I was a kid, so I don't know, but Eastern European, like very strict teacher, and like she's like explaining to me like, and from learning how to just sit on my dad's keyboard and just play around and then figure out the like scales and like playing the piano, and my dad explaining to me that playing the keys is actually like math, because once your brain calculates the increments in tone from this note to that note, you can almost just figure it out without like you'll naturally start to figure it out. And I was really good at math as a kid, so all that stuff seemed so cool. And then the minute someone was sitting me in front of gave me a paper keyboard with the notes written on them and was just like, let's practice, and I was just,
I remember coming back and being like, Dad, I'm not even playing. And
yeah,
I remember before he put me in classes, I was playing like Celine Dion songs.
yes,
Just like figuring it out on my
yep.
own. And then he put me in this class and it was like,
I
didn't even play a single note.
No, they kept making me play on cardboard with fake keys, and I was just like, I can't hear or feel the music this way. Like, I don't understand. But that's like what you were saying. Like, some people are just like, oh, you need to read the books, you need to know the theory, and it's just like, don't get us wrong. Again, you can read the books and feel and get the theory, but sometimes there's stuff that's built into your genes that's been passed down to you, and if we have a connection to that, don't I want to say mansplain, but don't like colonize explain to us, like don't come into my house and tell me, and I in my situation, I can't really, it's not like the lady did it on purpose. My dad put me in the class, so she's just doing her job. But in your case, when you're saying that those people are coming at you, it's just like, okay, I mean, I could let this get to me, or I could also recognize that you don't know what you're talking about, and I know my history, and I know my connection. And that's one of the reasons that when we started talking about this stuff, when we were in chat that first time, and you were talking about your geekdom, that's why I was so excited to talk to you, because I could tell you were genuinely passionate about this, and it comes through right here now too.
Yeah, definitely. I'm actually at this moment 5 days into a fast.
Oh, dope. Okay. How do you I try not eating for 12 hours and get annoyed and weird. So
this is actually my first time. So it's not a complete fast, it's a liquid fast.
Okay.
And this is actually my first time doing it.
What's it been like?
It's pretty new for me, and I'm doing it with guidance as well. So we're a group of women, and we're doing it like all together. That helps to have to be accountable, and to also like have that support throughout the day when you're like, shit, I'm so hungry, I just want to like, chew on something. I like accidentally put a piece of cucumber while I was making my smoothie, just like yesterday, and I was like,
oh yeah.
I don't even know.
just back into the smoothie. Just nope. Sorry.
Okay.
That's so funny.
Um, but yeah, that's another thing, like acquiring spirituality is hard work.
Mm,
It takes a lot of discipline, I would say.
yeah.
Maybe not hard work because it is something I feel called to, so it doesn't feel like, oh, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Um, but someone just recently was asking me, can you share this with me, or can you share this with us? And I was like, no, you're underestimating what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
I can share it with you on a level like what am I doing, but I can't tell you to so that you can follow it. They were like, "Oh, I want to
Oh,
join you," and I'm like, "No, you can't just
yeah, you can't just jump
join
in.
based on." Yeah,
I'm
and
sorry. I
I
just
want to do a fast with you, and I'm like, okay, well, you can do a fast yourself.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not just doing a liquid fast. I'm waking up at 5 a.m. I'm doing a sacred bath. I'm doing prayers. I'm doing chakra alignment. I'm
Yeah.
crying every night. I'm writing every night. So there's a lot happening all at once. You're not ready for this.
Yeah, like this is like you built because one of the things is you built up to doing something like this. This isn't something like you got off a plane after your first vacation and said, okay, these are the 20 things I have on a list that I have to start doing every year. Like, no, it
No,
wasn't just that simple. Yeah.
no, absolutely. And like,
Did the
I
person
mean,
understand?
as I'm in it right now,
Mm,
I didn't expect that.
yeah.
You know, I didn't expect to have a collection of crystals. I never
Yeah.
understood what that was about.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, those are pretty, but I feel nothing.
Yeah.
Until one day I felt something, and
Mm,
I was like, that's interesting. Um, I wasn't just acquiring them until I feel something, which I feel like a lot of people do.
yeah.
They place it very cute everywhere in their house.
Mm. Yeah.
So
Windowsills. Look how it catches the light.
exactly, like
Yeah.
that's exactly it, and they are pretty,
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, definitely. Bringing all this back to your initial question, how did I get into the baby massage?
Yes.
Right.
I completely forgot that's how we started. You're good at bringing us back because I was just like, keep teaching me. This is fascinating. And you're just like, I think I have to get to the point I was trying to touch on. And I'm just like, no, tell me more. Tell me more. Okay, but yes, babies. How do we?
But I would say that was also intuitive.
Mm,
I knew that there was something I wanted to do with babies. I didn't quite know what.
okay.
Um, and I was going to apply for a job, and I saw in their little pamphlet that they were looking for someone to to do their baby massage program. And I was like, what the F? This exists?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I was like all lit up. I was like glowing. I remember calling my best friend and telling her because she worked at the center at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I need this job. You need to get me in. And she was like, oh my God, I can see you radiating. Like, this is so you. And you
That's
know this
awesome.
existed. Long story short, I didn't get the job because I was traveling at the time.
Okay.
So once I got back to Montreal, I figured out how to get into the program, not at the center, but
Mhm.
the association to be certified.
Oh, cool.
Um,
Okay.
so they were the center where I wanted to work. They were going to pay for me to get a certificate, but I just went and did it on my own.
No, what? Yeah.
Which ended up being great because now I do my own thing, I have my own clients, and it's my private business. But yeah, that was it. And I can tell you, there was just this part of me. I was like, I don't know if I love this discovery or
Yeah.
hate it, but there's one huge chunk of the massage that is exactly the same massage that has been passed down from generation to generation to generation. My mother
Oh.
taught me how to do it on my brother. My mother did it to me. My grandmother did it to her. My great grandmother did it to her. And it is an odd type of massage. It's
Yeah.
not just like rubbing the arms or something. It's like folding the baby's ligaments together.
Okay.
Um, and it's meant to like stretch the lymphatic system. And anyways, without going into all that,
Yeah.
I was just like, wait, pause.
Yo.
This is what I've been doing forever. Like this is what I
Dude.
learned as a child to do with babies, and I remember doing it in daycares. And sometimes the director or my assistant teacher being like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "No, it's good for them. Look, they love it, and they love it. Like
Yeah.
definitely. And I would say that's almost one of the favorite parts that babies enjoy. And I'm just like, damn.
That is so cool though that something yo, that is such like kismet. Every word to mean like what an amazing connection. Whatever language we could use it in, but
Yeah.
just that moment of like, whoa, this is something that I've been naturally instinctively doing, that's been brought to me through my family. Once again, like you were saying, through blood, and now here I am doing this course and it turns out that was part of it. And it's just like,
Yeah.
that is so cool. That
And I
must have,
remember telling the instructor, and she was like, are you of like Indian background? I'm like, well, my mom's Indian Trini.
yeah.
That's where I got it from. And she's like, yeah, like the founder of the organization, this is like the part that came from India.
Oh wow.
And then I was like, this is yeah,
That's so
this is
cool.
so coming out of the course, I was just like, okay, I was meant for this.
Yeah.
um
That's
Mind you, it took a long time. I'm 3 years in about
mhm.
since practicing. I didn't practice right away,
Mm.
because then I got into my master's.
Oh, cool.
um, and my master's is in touch and attachment.
Oh,
So
cool.
also looking at like what does touch serve between the parent and baby dynamic. So just like obsessed with all this sort of stuff. And now, as I'm getting like really deep into my spirituality and my practice, I'm discovering like my hands are hands of a healer.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of power here, and I think I was searching for academia and for certificates to like validate this.
Mm.
And I would say just this week doing this program, I'm finally like, you know what? I'm going to start putting things out there that I have not been trained for, but that my soul has always been trained for. If that,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Like, yeah,
I've got this on lock. I feel
that's
it.
it.
Yo,
Yeah.
that's Chelsea. Like, I don't even know how to like thank you for this talk, dude. Like that was so beautiful at like just from everything we talked about at the beginning, the awkwardness of being kids to discovering
Mhm.
yourself and traveling and connecting and learning, and then for it to be full circle and realize that it was like all in you. Like you were saying from the beginning, it's like inward out, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
like to discover at the end that some of the stuff that you were learning in a craft that you felt was a path for you was already some of the stuff you had inside of you that was going to come out, and you could express it in this way that feels
Mhm.
like a connection to everything you've wanted to. That sounds fascinating. Like I wish for everyone to be able to find a path like that. Like
Thank you.
yeah,
I
that
feel
is
I feel honestly blessed that I was able to find my passion at such
mm,
a young age, and be directed in this way as to like where I am now.
yeah.
Um, and even doing this podcast, I mean, this is just another manifestation for me, wanting to finally just like put myself out there. So thank you for the
Oh,
opportunity to be able to like talk about all these
hey.
things and get
We
into a little potting.
we had this like a very short version of this conversation when I showed you my geek passion, as you can see in the background, all these wonderful
Right.
Legos, and then you were just talking about spirituality, and in my head I was just like, I feel like this type of conversation needs to be heard by not just me. Like I feel there's so many other people that could benefit from hearing this, and I think I'm more than happy to be one of the people that can help get this message out. So thank you again. Thank you. I really do genuinely enjoy it. This was really great conversation. You know how I know it was a great conversation? I thought we were just talking for like 20 minutes. It's been 52 minutes.
Honestly, I was like, okay, I took off my glasses at some point,
Yeah.
so I couldn't like see the time. But yeah, I was like, oh, is he saying thank you? Because like we're wrapping up right now.
Yeah, well, it's only because I just realized, like, unfortunately, for those of you who are listening right now, if you've ever noticed, I usually try and keep these under an hour because I like sharing them on IGTV, and IGTV doesn't let you upload anything over 60 minutes. So that's one of the reasons, and that's the only reason that I would want to. Unfortunately, I would say I'd want to wrap up because I just want to be able to make sure I share this. And this was a great conversation.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, yeah, same thing. I didn't notice all that time
at
passed at
all,
all.
at all. Like you were.
Talk about my plans.
Yeah, I actually wanted to talk to you about the plants and stuff because you said you like bringing plants into your home too. We didn't get to go through. There's so many other things we want to, but that just goes to show that I feel like we'll have to have another discussion. If you're down, I'd be down to have another one.
Absolutely, this was
Awesome.
fun. It was just like, what a great flow. Thank you. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, guys. So this is Chelsea, also known as Sea Elle. That's spelled SEA space ELLE. You're gonna be seeing all her stuff because she's gonna start posting more and possibly podcasting is what fingers crossed that we can get this kind of insight on a regular basis from her because I think a lot of people could benefit from it. And yeah. That's pretty much it. I'm gonna sign off. Oh, what's a good song that goes along with this conversation? Like, if you were to say, like, there's this particular song makes me feel connected or speaks to me when I think of my spiritual journey.
Um,
I know
wow,
it's such a it's an
that is
unfair
a good
question.
question. I don't know. I mean,
Uh,
I can't even think of music right now. All I've been listening to is like low frequency chakra music. So I'm like, dude, you could just type in like heart chakra music.
heart chakra. Oh yeah, heart chakra. Let's see. What does that sound like? Oh, I'm hearing. Is that the? Yeah.
Yeah, you can barely hear it, but yeah, I hear it. I hear it a little bit.
Okay, I'm gonna sign off to this.
Cool.
Chelsea, thank you once again. This was a
Thank
pleasure.
you. Thank you, Brian.
Do you
Cool.
want to tell people where they can find your social medias, where they can interact with you?
Sure, yeah. So if you're looking for any baby massage or any sort of touch and attachment relationship things, you can find me on Instagram at Booberry Massage. So boo, like a little boo, berry, like a blueberry, and massage. And then you can find me, my personal account, at Brown Skin Magical.
Awesome. This music is soothing, yo. I'm like I'm like just sitting here like feeling my whole like my back loosen up as I'm like listening to it. I'm like, okay, feeling the
I
vibes.
take naps to this, take a nap to this.
Oh yeah,
So good.
that sounds dope. Guys, that's the end of the show this today. I was gonna say this week. Oh yeah, because I recorded the show for tomorrow yesterday. We're gonna have another episode tomorrow with a lovely guest from the UK. Chelsea will be back in the future. Once again, make sure you check out all her social medias. It's gonna be, if you're watching this on IG, you're gonna see it pop up right underneath her. If you're listening and watching this live, thank you so much for tuning in for the time that we had this discussion. I hope you guys got to enjoy it and feel as wonderful as I felt. And I don't even want to talk anymore because I'm going to let this play. But we're out, guys. Take care, everybody.